Hey guys, it's Miss Ramirez. We're going to go ahead and get into the chapter accompanying this PowerPoint. So we're going to go over infection control principles and practices. The regulating federal agencies. So Occupational Safety and Health Administration, also known as OSHA, is a government agency set up to regulate and enforce safety and health standards to protect employees in the workplace. They govern the Material Safety Data Sheet, or the MSDS. We have an MSDS sheet for every single product that we use in the salon, as well as chemicals, cleaning products. Everything has an MSDS sheet. On there, you'll find ways to dispose of the product, medical and first aid information. So, for example, if you ever got disinfectant in your eye, on the MSDS sheet, you would find first aid. It's not always flushed with water. Sometimes there's other ways to administer first aid for this. You'll also find the manufacturer information on product safety. Regulation federal agencies. So the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, is another government office set up that registers all disinfectants sold and used in the U.S. It determines their efficacy against making sure that they do what they say they're going to do, as long as you follow the manufacturer's instructions and use them correctly. So disinfectants are products that destroy all bacteria, but not spores, fungi, and viruses on non-porous surfaces. I can't stress this enough. Only non-porous surfaces. So if you have wood, paper, cotton, those things cannot be disinfected. They are disposed of. We use in the salon a hospital-grade disinfectant. It's effective for decontaminating non-porous surfaces exposed to blood and bodily fluids. We also use tuberculocidal disinfectants, which are proven to kill the bacteria that causes tuberculosis. Okay, so these regulations, state regulatory agencies, exist to protect salon professionals and to protect consumers' health, safety, welfare while they receive salon services. They require everyone working in the salon or spa to follow specific procedures. They enforce this through inspections and investigations of consumer complaints. That's part of the agency's responsibilities. So when they come in and inspect a salon or school, the State Board of Cosmetology will look and make sure that we are practicing all of these things. Regulation, laws, and rules. What is the difference? Written by both federal and state legislature that determine the scope of practice. They're also called statutes. Rules and regulations, more specific than laws. Written by the regulatory agency or the state board, and they determine how the law must be applied. All right, principles of infection. So an infection is an invasion of body tissues by disease-causing pathogens. Prevention begins and ends with you. Principles of infection control. Infection control are the methods used to eliminate or reduce the transmission of infectious organisms. So that is why we clean, disinfect, all of those things are infection control. An infectious disease is caused by pathogenic or harmful organisms that enter the body. Disinfection destroys most, but not necessarily all, harmful organisms on environmental surfaces. They are not effective against bacterial spores. So when we disinfect a surface, it pushes the bacteria inside of spores. Nothing can penetrate the spores and kill the bacteria except for sterilization. Obviously, we can't sterilize our whole entire environment, so we disinfect often to keep those bacteria inside the spores. If the bacteria are inside the spores, they cannot harm, they cannot spread, they're basically completely inactive. Principles of infection bacteria. So bacteria are one-celled microorganisms that have both plant and animal characteristics. So we have good bacteria and bad bacteria. So the good bacteria, or the non-pathogenic bacteria, are harmful microorganisms. Pathogenic are the harmful organisms. So when I tell you guys not to use the disinfection on your hands, or do not put your hands in the disinfectant container, that's because it kills the non-pathogenic bacteria as well. We actually need those. Those are your body's first line of defense against the harmful or pathogenic bacteria. Principles of infection viruses. So viruses, that's all everybody's talking about lately. The news, the people that you come in contact with, social media, everybody's talking about the virus with the COVID-19 that's going on right now. So a virus is a parasitic submicroscopic particle. So if we break that word down, submicroscopic particle. So that means it can only be seen with the microscope, and it is a branch of that microscopic particle that infects and resides in the cells of a biological organism. We are a biological organism. So that submicroscopic particle infects you, being the microorganism. They can live and reproduce only by taking over other cells and becoming part of them. Human papillomavirus, or HPV, an example of a common viral infection often seen in salons, also known as plantar warts. All right, bloodborne pathogens. They are disease-causing microorganisms that are carried in the body by blood or bodily fluids. Examples of this are hepatitis and HIV. Hepatitis is a bloodborne virus that causes disease and can damage the liver. You cannot catch these from human contact unless there is a cut that you have and they have a cut. It has to be passed by bodily fluids or blood, okay? Human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV, is the virus that causes acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, also known as AIDS. These are all passed through blood only.